Hello and welcome to Safe Schools. I'm Curtis Graves.
I'm Andy Howard.
Andy, we have a great show, and I say great, I mean really, really great show today. We're going to be talking to the Family Intervention Team of the Mobile Police Department, talking about what we do in the community and why it's so important.
That sounds like an important conversation. I look forward to hearing it and talking more about it. We'll be right back.
And we're back. I would like to welcome both of you guys to the show. Officer Nathaniel McCarty with the Mobile Police Department and Ronwick Thomas. Did I say it right, Ron?
Yes, Ronwick.
With the Mobile Police Department Family Intervention Team. Guys, welcome to the show, coming out talking to us about the Family Intervention Team and Mobile PD and how our job in prevention and intervention works in our community. But let's start off with Nate. Nate, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm Officer Nathaniel McCarty with the Mobile Police Department. I work for the Office of Strategic Initiatives. Started my law enforcement career at the Mobile County Sheriff Department in corrections in 2003. In 2010, I decided to put the badge on and try to make a difference in the community. Born and raised here in Mobile.
Good deal, good deal.
Welcome, Ronwick.
Yes.
Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
I'm Ronwick Thomas with the Mobile Police Department Family Intervention Team. I'm originally from Mississippi. I am retired military. I've worked in corrections at the Metro Jail. I've also worked in the prison system. I've been a probation officer with the youth center, and I've also been a courtroom bailiff and warrant officer here in Mobile.
You've had a varied career and a bunch of different kinds of experiences, but all in a similar vein, I see.
Yes.
But very interesting still to say, because now you're working with some of our most vulnerable population,
Yes.
trying to prevent those things that you've seen on the other side of what you've done up until now. And let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about prevention and intervention and what the Family Intervention Team does for Mobile PD, because the whole goal is to redirect youth from a path of incarceration, for
Yes.
lack of a better term. But tell me a little bit more.
Okay, well, what we do is we try to get involved with families who are having issues with their children, who whether it be a behavioral issue, runaways, if they're having problems in school, in the classroom, skipping class, things of that nature. When I was in my previous jobs, I was working with adults, and I find that some of the issues that caused them to be in their current situation, being incarcerated, started in middle school and in high school. The behaviors that they exhibit, if they aren't corrected or given proper attention, they will find themselves incarcerated.
Nate, how do you feel about that? Because you work alongside these guys sometimes, but more in the capacity of, we hope that they can prevent it, but then when that does not happen, typically law enforcement has to step in and do what law enforcement does. But you still have some latitude in what you do. Tell me about that.
I agree totally with Ron, and knowing the background that he comes from, we come from the same background in corrections. The problems do start when the children are younger, and something just as common is it's a big transition for to just take a young male to transition from elementary school to middle school, dealing with emotions and dealing with trying to fit in and the peer pressure. He's exactly right. We try to approach it in a different way, though. We try to be a building block for them to try to get on the right track.
So I'm just curious now, both of you guys having this background on the other side, the after the fact.
Yes, sir.
Is that something that attracted you to want to get involved in being more proactive and involving yourself in the preventative side of this conversation?
Yes.
Those experiences you had?
Yes, especially being preventive. We can always have the idea that when someone does something wrong, whether it be criminal, you lock them up, throw away the key, but at no time do they become viable citizens to pour back into the community and actually become a law-abiding citizen taxpayer, rather than having to be a tax burden, being incarcerated. So we have to, at some point, have the idea that something can be done to change their life at an early enough stage where they don't become a burden on the community, they actually pour into the community.
One of the things Director Barber talks about all the time, our public safety director, is that we can't lock our way out of this problem. We cannot lock up enough people to solve the problem that we have in our communities. Education is extremely important, and not just academic education, but educating people on pro-social norms, on what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. You do a lot of that when you're trying to coach parents and young people about different things that they were doing that may have caused some of the problems that they found themselves facing, all because of their inability to adapt socially sometimes to the environment that they're in.
Yes, being with Mobile being a trauma-informed city at this point, when you talk about not only what the behavior problem is, there has to be something in the background that actually caused the behavior. The behavior are the symptoms of another problem that has to be addressed. If you address the original problem, you can really get to the root of it and work out whatever needs to be done so that they change their behavior. It's not what they're doing wrong, but what caused them to be in a position where they view the world from that standpoint and do these things that they're doing.
So one aspect of this conversation is about not just what the young person is doing that we can try to influence, but helping the parent, because they don't get a manual when you take the baby home, how to be a mama, how to be a dad. So parents need skill sets that they got to get from somewhere. And so one of the things that you try to do, it seems to me, is to try to assist parents in knowing what to do. But as I was processing your conversation, and you're interacting with parents, these behaviors that are being exhibited by the children, is it manifest in some of these experiences that the parents had? Parents having struggles as young people, and then not being able to then pass on good pro-social behavior on their part.
Nate, how would you explain that?
I think some parents will go through some type of trauma at a young age, and then the cycle will just continue to repeat itself when they'll put that sort of aspect on life on their children. As Ron was saying, a lot of times these kids are doing things, but in my personal opinion, I just don't believe that a child is going to act out just normally for just no apparent reason. There's a reason. There's something that's going on behind the closed doors.
That's a great place to pause for a moment. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Since 1836, Mobile County Public Schools has been producing productive citizens who have helped shape and build our region. We're the state's largest public school district with 88 schools, 54,000 students, and more than 7,200 employees. We are leading with 7 magnet schools and 13 national blue ribbon schools. Our students are learning through rigorous, relevant instruction that challenges students not only to learn facts and equations, but to think critically and globally. We are learning through a solid foundation built on project-based learning, robotics, and other STEM programs, a PACE program for gifted students, and other proven instructional tools, including Alabama's award-winning first-class pre-K program. We're leading by hiring and supporting quality teachers, administrators, and support personnel, and providing them with the tools to succeed. We are learning through innovative programs such as Talents Unlimited, a year-round school at Fondy Elementary, University of Alabama Early College, and a Signature Academy program that allows high school students to pursue their passions and explore potential careers. We're leading by producing college and career-ready graduates who earned more than 14,000 career credentials and $140 million in scholarships in 2018, with a 4-year graduation rate of 86%. We're learning by pushing ourselves to be better every day through professional development and fostering relationships with our students, our parents, and our community. We're leading by refusing to rest on our accomplishments, by giving 110% every day to ensure that we're producing well-rounded students and graduates who are prepared to meet the global challenges of the 21st century. We are Mobile County Public Schools. We're learning today. We are leading tomorrow.
And we're back. So Nate, you were talking about how these dynamics and how young folks need to behave themselves and what impact that has on their lives and their parents' lives. So could you continue to expound a little bit about that?
Correct. As I was saying before we went to break, we were talking about there are some things that are going on behind closed doors that involve our youth here in the city of Mobile. And those things need to be addressed. There may not be the correct communication going on between the child and the parent at home. And that's what the family intervention team does. They try to help bridge that gap of communication so the family dynamic can get along a whole lot better.
And one of the big things is understanding the fact that the family intervention team, nor the Mobile Police Department, is serving as the parent. Goal is not to replace the parent. The goal is to give the parent the tools that they need through suggestion and mentorship at best to better deal with the issues that they may be having with their children. Ron, would you agree with that?
Yes, we do case management. We open up suggestions as far as referral services that the parents can get involved in, and we really stress get involved. It's not that we will take a child and fix all of their issues or everything that's going on with them. We'll help the family be guided through a process where everyone in the household gets the proper services that is required to that they can be a cohesive unit within the home. Taking a child out of the home and putting them into the youth center is not the answer, because whatever the underlying issue was that caused the behavior has not been addressed. And especially if there are younger siblings, they will still be in an environment that they may at some time manifest those same behaviors because the underlying issue or trauma, whatever it was never addressed.
Yeah, we just don't have enough cells to just hold every child in the community that needs assistance or support. And you made a statement earlier that I think is important. What does it cost? What does it cost the family? What does it cost the community? When children succeed, it's a cost benefit.
Right.
And when children fail, it's a cost deficit. It costs us a lot of money for the government to take care of children.
Well, let's talk about tradition too. Okay, tradition. That's such a broad word nowadays. But we don't, when people think about tradition, they think about yesteryears, those things that they felt like worked back then. Well, the problem is we're no longer back then. We're now. We're dealing with now issues. And if we're not careful, we're dealing with issues that we're not even prepared for in the future because we're not in the now. So what we do nowadays in law enforcement here, as well as in several other states and jurisdictions, is we're thinking outside of the box. How do we actually, first of all, do more with less? And how do we mitigate incarceration early on in the early stages of being a youth so that it does not transition into adulthood? Nate, you guys do a lot of different things in conjunction with the family intervention team. Give me some of the things that you guys have done that you've done over the summer months okay, that you do routinely in police department to help address some of those issues?
One of the things that we've tried to do is in First Precinct, there's an area right next to Williamson High School, and that's the Home and Recreation Center. In order to try to go in and be proactive, we try to make our presence known at the Recreation Center. We had a summer program called Summer Cool Down, and we've had a great reaction to it. The children we tried to go in at first, not being police officers, but just trying to be someone that they could look at, and because police in the community, they don't have that big, good relationship that we should have, but we are working on it. And this is one of the programs that we did to
And
work
you,
on
in
it.
fact, actually went in without wearing the uniform.
That's
initially,
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
With the goal of them getting to see you
That's
before
right.
they saw the uniform.
That's
And
right.
not only that, summer cool down. Cool down. Why do we use that term?
We use that term because, first of all, it's hot during the summer months.
Indeed.
But we want the crime rate with our youth to go down. We want to cool it down. And, just try to make a good relationship. I can remember the first time I came in to the recreation center this summer with my uniform on, and the kids were just looking at me like, "You a police officer?" And I said, "Yes, I am." They were like, "Man, you a cool police officer."
So that sends you outside of your
Yeah,
uniform.
they saw me outside first, but then when they saw me in uniform, it kind of built that trust. And the kids, we have great conversation. They come in, we're like, "How you doing today?" I'm like, "I'm doing good. How you doing?" They come to check on me. So
Well, that's
it's
a
wonderful.
great dynamic.
Yeah.
And what were some of the activities that you did with the kids during the cool down moment?
Some of the activities we tried to teach and expound on gang resistance. We also had an instructor. His name is Curt Richardson. He's a jiu-jitsu instructor, and they came in teaching discipline and also a little bit of self-defense, and the kids loved that.
Yeah, my knowledge of those kinds of things is that's not about teaching kids how to fight, but teaching them that they don't have to fight.
That's right. That's
And
correct.
so that's a great skill set to instill in young people. I'm just pleased to hear that. So, Ron, in these several years that you've been involved with intervening, what would you like our audience, parents' audience, to recognize as some things that you would want them to consider in parenting their child? So, I know you do it one-on-one, but I want to get a little
Yes.
larger audience.
Well, one thing that I would really stress is getting involved with putting a positive example in front of the child as early as possible. What we find is once a child becomes into those early teen years, 13, 14, and he start to show some behaviors, the parents may want to address it at that point, but they've already missed a lot of years where the child was exhibiting some of those behaviors, but at a smaller level, and now it's become their habit, and it's hard to break those habits. So later on, when they start saying things that they shouldn't be saying at 8 or 9, and things that may seem cute when they're younger, these, once they become comfortable doing these things.
We want to use that phrase you got, breaking habits. We're going to take a break for a moment, and we'll be right back.
Each month, more than 90 guns are reported stolen from unlocked vehicles, creating the potential of serious injury or death.
Lock it up.
Many violent acts and crimes are committed with stolen guns.
Lock it up.
According to ATF, stolen guns pose a substantial threat to public safety.
Lock it up.
Be responsible. Take time to record your handgun serial number and secure it from thieves. Lock it up.
Lock it up for me.
Hello, I'm Helena Tyler. I would like to invite you to join me for Inside Education. Come with us as we take a look at what's happening around Mobile County Public Schools, as well as what's happening in your child's classroom. That's Inside Education, right here on the MCPSS TV network.
Nonviolence will start with me.
Nonviolence will start with me.
All across the Mobile County public school system, students are taking the pledge.
I pledge to accept the responsibility of my actions.
To solve problems peacefully.
Respect myself and others.
The 100 Days of Nonviolence Pledge. It's an initiative to help explore alternative means of stopping violence among school students. Will you take the challenge? Get involved. Take a stand. 100 Days, 100 Ways.
And we're back. Ron, let's continue the conversation we had earlier. Continue to speak on what you were discussing with the audience.
Yes, talking about the parenting, you were speaking earlier about tradition, and when we talk about tradition, there are things that we used to do that we don't do anymore. The same with medical advancements. We also now have advancements in the way that we interact with our child, and also mental health things. Times have changed. We have a new problem. Social media is something that is really running rampant with our kids. They are not being given proper instruction as to how to use social media in a positive way. They pick up bad habits from friends, even from family at a young age. I have known children as young as 2nd and 3rd grade who have their own phone with no restrictions. They have access to the internet at that young of an age. They do not know how to discern what is age appropriate for me at this time. They do not know how to communicate properly. And it actually prevents them from developing those social skills, how to interact with people face to face, how to make eye contact. And what we have are young people who get into arguments with their device with other people over the internet. And when you talk to someone face to face, you can see their body language, you can see their facial expressions, and you can say something in a way that I can understand your meaning based on your posture, your body language, and your facial expressions. When I simply read it, I can take it out of context, and therefore a disagreement or an argument can start over something as simple as me taking those words out of context and not really understanding what was said. And parents really should get involved with curbing that behavior. There are free apps out there that they can put on the devices to prevent younger children from accessing certain sites. They can go and get some instruction on how to best set up times where kids can have access to their devices where they don't become addicted. The phones and devices are not babysitters.
And these are some of the things that you guys actually talk to parents about. These are some of the coaching tools that you provide them. So again, you're not acting as the parent. You're giving them advice, suggestions, things that you may do yourself as a parent that's proven to be useful to you. So you're sharing this information with these parents. Nate, tell me, when we talk about behavior and not knowing how to respond to people one-on-one, how did you find your experience working with the kids during the summer months at the park to be? Did you find them to be engaging, or did you find them to be kind of reluctant to communicate with you, not because you were the police, but because it was one-on-one communication versus being on the phone?
Most definitely. There was a little bit of reluctancy at first, but I think kids need to see a familiar face. You got to keep tugging at it. You got to keep your hands to the plow. And once week 1 or 2, and then week 3 comes by, it's a whole lot easier to communicate with the kids. Just going back to what you said about tradition, one tradition that we need to get back to as a family unit is sitting down eating dinner together. Now kids bring social media devices with them to the dinner table.
Oh, that's absolutely right.
That's right.
We see it all of the time. When we go out to eat, I see whole families sitting there and everybody's got a device and they're not talking to each other. I'm sure that's true at home. So when you were talking, Ron talked about parents and what you might say to parents. Nate, what might you say to a young person? Because you've seen what it looks like on the side of incarceration, and you wear a uniform. When they call you after something's happened, then your opportunity to give that kind of counsel you can give before is easy to do then.
Exactly.
So while you got an opportunity to talk to a young person, nothing bad has happened at this moment, what might you say to them that might help them gain function and appropriate decision making as a young person? Something hadn't happened yet. And what can we do to make that not be the case?
Don't be afraid to communicate with someone. Just because something's going on doesn't mean you have to handle it yourself. A lot of young people, they want to handle business themselves, but they got to understand that that's why adults are here, that's why mentors are here, that's why your parents are here, that's even why your teachers are here, to help you solve these problems, because the young brain hasn't developed yet to where they can make those sound decisions.
Right.
So they need to talk to somebody and reach out, and then that way they can be guided to the right decision to make.
Nobody knows everything, but every answer can be gained.
That's right.
And so,
That's right.
Well, you know, guys, I'll say this. As we start to wrap up this conversation, what I want to do is make sure that those who are watching this show know how to reach out to us. Ron, you're in the third precinct. Give us a little information about how to reach you.
Yes, my phone number at 3rd Precinct is 208-7748. I can also be reached by email. That's ronwick.thomas@cityofmobile.org. And we're located on St. Stephen's Road, right near the corner of St. Stephen's and Wilson. You can come by the precinct and walk in and get information, or you can contact me by phone or email.
Okay. And Nathaniel, what about yourself?
I can be reached at 208-7727. My email is nathaniel.mccarty@cityofmobile.org, and we're located at 200 Government Street.
You know, it's so important that we have these conversations, and with the hope that someone who is looking for solutions to improve their relationship with their child, or just to improve their understanding of what issues are that we're facing in our communities with our youth, to actually hear this conversation and to say to themselves, let me reach out to these guys. Let me see if I can get some more information to help me understand so that I can be more effective in the community in dealing with our youth. So I applaud you guys for what you do. Oftentimes it's not recognized, but it's so important to do. So again, thank you for coming on. We hope to have you again real soon.
Thank you for
This has
having
been
us.
Safe Schools.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.